Well, good morning. I'm Bill Gropp. I'm the director of the National Center for Supercomputing Applications. It's my honor to welcome you to the inaugural Ebert Symposium, a collaboration of the College of Media, the Ebert Center, and the National Center for Supercomputing Applications. Roger Ebert felt strongly that movies serve a vital purpose, and that purpose was to spark empathy. Empathy for one another, and empathy for animals, for plants, our planet, and yes, for the universe itself. Today's event aims to show how storytelling expertise and advanced visual technologies that cross the arts and sciences are helping to tell those vital empathy-producing stories. The symposium organizers have assembled notable documentary cinema directors, journalists, astrophysicists, media experts, artists, designers, and scientists to explore how storytelling merged with data visualization and research-based narratives can elicit a deeper understanding of the forces within our society and within the universe. I know we will learn much from each of them today. So now it is my pleasure to welcome Andreas Cangellaris, the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Provost, as well as the Emmy van Valkenburg Professor in Electrical and Computer Engineering. Andreas.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for making NCSA available for this special event. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Now, please tell me, how many of you don't like movies? Good. Thank you very much. I grew up watching movies, and I'm not an actor. I'm an academic. I guess every professor is an actor, right? But anyway, I am delighted to be part of this event. I'm honored to be part of an event that I think communicates in the most compelling way what can happen when you have a community, like a university community at Urbana-Champaign, come together and think of what each and every one of us brings to the table, especially in this day and age. And the theme of this event, Empathy for the Universe through Storytelling and Data Visualization, is so appropriate for our times. As I told you, I love the movies, and I have tried to take advantage of every movie that provided me with the opportunity to think about others, think about future worlds or worlds that I would never know that could be there, and imagine what is my role as a human being in this world. And I believe that this is one of the things that we are going to touch upon today. The other day, last week, I was here in this same building as a data science symposium was happening. And one of the things that we were discussing with the audience there was, what are the things that humans are supposed to be doing in this world, this fast-paced world of innovation and change? In a world where data and algorithms hold the potential to impact everything that we do in our lives. And the question we posed to ourselves was, what are those uniquely human elements that we need to emphasize as we try to take advantage of the advances of the world? And I think it was Professor Chan, Anita Chan, that volunteered the word empathy as one of those uniquely human elements that matter to the world, especially now, as we are empowering our computers and the technology with ways in which our life can be augmented, improved, enhanced, but at the same time, always under our control. So as I'm talking about movies here, as I was thinking about the things I would like to share with you today in the context of this very special symposium, I thought of a movie. And I thought of something that was stuck in my mind after the movie for a long time. So I'll read it for you, and then we're going to have a quiz. I won't take too much. No. It's short. This is verbatim from a dialogue in the movie. I'd like to share a revelation that I have had during my time here. It came to me when I tried to classify your species, and I realized that you are not actually mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environment. But you humans don't. You move to an area and you multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. And the only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You're a plague, and we are the cure. Any volunteers? Matrix. This is Agent Smith giving Neo a lecture about why software is going to save the planet. This is 1999. This is one of those movies that Roger Ebert liked, but he was not willing to go all the way and say this is the best movie I have ever seen. He was very critical of several of the elements of the movie, but you have to admit, this lecture by Agent Smith is a very telling lecture of where we are today. And I say this because this is the time where we need to be thinking about how we look after the planet. And I will tell you, yes, we are part of a planet in the universe, but because of who we are, because of the fact that we are humans with logic and reason and the ability to empathize and think of others, the responsibility we have on our shoulders is tremendous. And we have empowered ourselves with the technology to be able to look down on this planet, to be able to look at other parts of the universe, but looking down on this planet and understand its pain, the challenges it faces, and how we not only are responsible for some of that, but most important, we have the ways to reverse the trend. This is what this is all about. A Beautiful Planet is an amazing movie, and I'm delighted to see that being the way we end this special event today. And let's all agree that A Beautiful Planet is the kind of movie, the kind of visual experience that should be a prerequisite reading or viewing for everyone who aspires to hold public office in this country. In the world, I would say. So with that, welcome to this special event. Enjoy the rest of the day. It's going to be, I believe, an inaugural event that we're going to be able to celebrate over and over again and expand it because of who we are. A very comprehensive university that has all the elements to accept the challenges we face, debate them, acknowledge the fact that we can do something about it, and most important, set the stage to make things happen. Thank you.
Thank you for that just wonderfully stimulating introduction. So now, please welcome Cythnia Oliver. She is a choreographer, professor of dance, and affiliate in African American Studies and in Gender and Women's Studies. In 2017, she was named Illinois' Associate Vice Chancellor for Humanities and the Arts. Please welcome Cythnia Oliver.
Good morning. I'm a choreographer. Choreographers spend their lives skillfully moving people around in space. We design conditions under which that movement is challenged, supported, propelled, or inhibited. Our raw materials are primarily human, although sometimes not. I have a few peers who work with sheep, dogs, horses. Space. It can be vast or tiny, and of course, time. Usually, for our experiments, we need lots of time to explore ideas and fail, to try and try again. But in order to move those most important bodies, we need to know something about them. Who they are, where they come from, why they move the way they do, what pressures have been exerted against and upon them, and what may have or continues to aid them in their movement or lack thereof. These explorations, these stories, are what drive me as an artist and humanist, but they are also what drives scientists. They're our common ground. My questions about these very conditions are what motivate me to converse with other artists, scholars, scientists, to consider these bodies in their various environments, to come to any number of conclusions or indeed additional questions. This for me is most exciting. The possibilities for convergence between fields, sciences, technology, arts, and humanities. These are the places where a land-grant institution like the University of Illinois can have its greatest impact. This is the place of our greatest potential, where a symposium like this one not only points up the sparks of brilliant cross-fertilization already taking place between our various fields, our various worlds, but can lead the way in consistent and ongoing collaborations to together find sustainable practices for ourselves and those with whom we share resources, the planet, and more expansively, the universe. Roger Ebert believed movies help us become more empathetic. Yes, movies certainly do so. But each of us, in our own small way, as we discover those places where our interests converge and our methods spark new curiosities, where our questions ignite new ideas across discipline, we also construct the building blocks of empathy. So let this be the beginning of more of these events, more time to talk with each other and see where our interests meet, to dig in, to converge our resources, our areas of specialty, to offer the world serious, creative, and thoughtful solutions to our challenges. Let's start here today with this symposium to combine our creativity, our sciences with our humanities, our arts with our technologies, to move and motivate at this historical moment to solve together some of our greatest challenges. Welcome. Thank you.
Tracy. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tracy Sulkin, the Dean of the College of Media, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural Roger Ebert Symposium. This is something that we've been working hard on, many people across campus we've been very excited about, and it's just so exciting to see everybody here today and see this coming to fruition. As you already know, Roger Ebert was a proud alum of the University of Illinois. He earned his journalism degree here in 1964. And as part of his ongoing efforts to connect with and help the University of Illinois and his alma mater, he's brought us the beloved Roger Ebert Film Festival, Ebert Fest, which celebrated its 20th anniversary last spring of shining the spotlight on overlooked films. And we're looking forward very much to the 21st festival this coming spring. Today is special, though, because we're continuing his legacy of bringing discourse to film with our first Ebert Symposium. And this kickoff is particularly fitting because our theme dwells on all aspects of empathy. And Ebert believed that movies are the most powerful empathy machine in all of the arts. And with an exceptional panel of experts who you'll all be meeting very soon, we'll be diving into empathy for the universe from the perspective of a film director, journalist, astrophysicist, media expert, artist, designer, scientist, and NASA astronaut. That sounds like a lead off to a very long joke about all these people meeting in a bar. This morning's panels include science on the screen and story framing and visualization. And this afternoon, we'll discuss interconnectedness in art and sciences. And then we hope you'll join us at 4:30 p.m. For a free screening of the IMAX movie, A Beautiful Planet, at the Savoy 16, followed by a Q&A that'll be moderated by Chaz Ebert. So I want to thank you for being here, and I'd also like to give a special thank you to the National Center for Supercomputing Applications for partnering with the College of Media on our first Ebert Symposium. NCSA has really put a lot of effort into ensuring today will be a spectacular experience for everybody here. I'd also like to thank Chaz Ebert, who, with Roger, co-founded Ebert Fest, established a fund for the Ebert Center in the College of Media, and is the CEO of Ebert Digital, which publishes the movie review site, rogerebert.com, and also is at the heart of so many of our efforts here on campus and in the College of Media. So please help me in welcoming back to campus Chaz Ebert.
We all are born with a certain package. We are who we are. Where we were born, who we were born as, how we were raised. We're kind of stuck inside that person. And the purpose of civilization and growth is to be able to reach out and empathize a little bit with other people. Find out what makes them tick, what they feel about, what they care about. And for me, the movies are like a machine that generates empathy. If it's a great movie, it lets you understand a little bit more about what it's like to be a different gender, a different race, a different age, a different economic class, a different nationality, different profession, different hopes, aspirations, dreams, and fears. It helps us to identify with the people who are sharing this journey with us. And that, to me, is the most noble thing that good movies can do, and it's a reason to encourage them and to support them and to go to them.
Good morning. This is a day that we've been working on for a while, and I just want to say to Brand Fortner, who is an alum here and who's been with Ebert Fest from the very beginning, who's also an astrophysicist and teaches at another university, but he comes back here all the time. This was a seed that he planted some years ago, and that's kind of how it got started. And then Nate Cohen, Dr. Nate Cohen, who's also was born here and is an alum as well, teaches at a different university but comes here all the time, worked on that seed along with us. Donna Cox is I'm going to wait because I have an introduction for her. She's a force of nature. This has been it's a labor of love, and I can't, frankly, believe that I'm standing here and Roger is not. He would have been so happy to see this day take place. When he reviewed Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, upon its release 50 years ago, he bookended his 4-star rave review with the poetry of E.E. Cummings, who once wrote, "Listen, there's a hell of a good universe next door. Let's go." Everybody knows about Apollo 13. People talk less about Apollo 8. And Apollo 8 was so important because that's the first time that a manned spacecraft actually left low orbit Earth and went up high enough to look back on the Earth and to see that blue marble, the pale blue dot, and realize that we are all, that there's more, there's one. There's not, there are different continents, there are different rivers, there are different peoples and different cultures, but when you're up that high and you look down, as Terry Vert, our astronaut, is going to tell us today, we are all one, and our destiny is together. No matter what color we are, no matter our gender, no matter our age, no matter our economic situation. It was after that in 1968 when Frank Borman and Jim Lovell and William Anders was on that Apollo 8 mission and realized and sent pictures back and realized how important it was to take care of our oceans, our air, our earth, our people. Later, the Environmental Protection Agency was born. Earth Day was started. we realized that we had so much more together. At the UN, they had programs that started as a result of that. There were so many things. NASA is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. And when President John F. Kennedy talked about doing that moonshot and getting a man to the moon, within, I think he said, maybe a 10-year period, we did it in less time. We didn't realize that there were going to be so many things that would happen as a result of that. So many of our inventions that we have today, so many, GPS and satellites and so much technology that we have today started as a result of that. But the other thing that we realized as a result of that is the way we treat each other and the way we relate to each other was interconnected. We realized that science and cosmology and astrophysics and everything doesn't mean a hill of beans if our interconnectedness as human beings was not also taken care of. I was a trial attorney at the Environmental Protection Agency. I also was a trial attorney at the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And I realized that those things were not separate. Science, humanity, the way we treat people, gender parity, all of those things are part of one thing, just like this earth is. And that's why I am so very, very happy that we're having this symposium today. Buckminster Fuller used to talk about geodesic domes, and when he would greet people, he would tell people, if you said hello to him, he didn't say hello or how are you, he said, I see you. I see you, because he recognized that there is a very human need to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, to be respected, to be loved. And so what I hope that we will do today, as we talk about, we're going to start from above, and I'm so thrilled that Terry Vert is here, and Tony Myers, and so many. We have an embarrassment of just riches of people and intellect here this morning. But we're going to start from above, we're going to bring it down to earth level, and then we're going to go to humanity. So I hope that you stay for the whole day of the symposium, and then you come back for the movie. And now, what I'd like to do is bring up on stage Dr. Nate Cohen. He's a professor at the University of Georgia, an associate director of the George Foster Peabody Awards. He's been the festival director of Ebert Fest from the very beginning, and he's also an award-winning producer. Will you please help me welcome Dr. Nate Cohen?
My job is not to say anything, to make sure we run on time. So anyhow, it's a great pleasure to be here, and I think you're in for a remarkable day. So as Chaz says, I hope you stay for the entire symposium and join us for the movie this afternoon.
There's one thing that I forgot to say, and this is really important. Another reason that Roger wanted to make sure that we continue to have things at the University of Illinois is because he was so proud of his alma mater. He said that there were so many things that were started here that people don't generally know about. There were web browsers and transistors, and the first audio sound, I think, for cinema was born here. So many things. Also, it was the first public university, public or private, that had a extensive program for disabled students. And Roger actually was the PR person for a wheelchair basketball team. And I think they went to South Africa to play. Anyway, he said that there are so many things that the university did, both in humanities and in sciences. And some of those things we'll talk about today because we have many of the professors from the University of Illinois here today as well. So, we're giving an award today to someone who is so deserving of it, and he's accepting it on behalf of the Alfred Sloan Foundation, the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. Doran Weber is the Vice President of Programs and Program Director at the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. For 20 years, he's run the program for the public understanding of science, technology, and economics at Sloan, which uses diverse media, books, radio, television, film, theater, opera, and new media to bridge the two cultures of science and the humanities and to educate and engage the public. This seminal program has been recognized with many awards, including the National Science Board's Public Service Award for its innovative use of traditional media and its pioneering efforts in theater and commercial television and films to advance public understanding of science and technology. Will you please help me welcome to the stage Doran Weber. We have an award for him. It's a golden thumb. And these thumbs were actually, Roger actually cast for the thumb to be made many years ago, so.
And you should say that these are cast by the same people who do the Oscar for the Academy Awards.
Yes. So Doran, on behalf of the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, you're accepting, for lasting contributions to the cinema industry that have significantly increased public understanding of science and revealed the interconnectedness of our universe and our humanity, we'd like for you to please accept the Golden Thumb Award.
Thank you.
And we have, this one is going to go to the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. However, we're going to cast another one with your name, Doran, that you can take home.
Thank you very much.
Please.
Hi. Well, thank you. That's the best award I've ever won or ever will win. Thank you very much. Thanks to the College of Media, to the Ebert Center and Supercommuting Center. It's really a privilege to be here. I'm just tell you a little bit about the Sloan Foundation. For those of you who don't know, we're a nonprofit philanthropy founded in 1934, and we make grants for research and education in science, technology, and economics. We do a lot of basic science, things like the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, which is one of the largest, most detailed, and most cited astronomical surveys that is charting the evolution and the structure of the universe, formation of stars and galaxies, the Milky Way, and the science behind dark energy. And we also do things at the very small level, a program called the Microbiology of the Built Environment. You know, you think of the environment, you think outdoors, but we actually spend about 23 hours a day indoors. And so we started surveying what actually lives inside, and we discovered probably you should be changing your shower heads periodically because you really don't want to know what what you have there. Very useful information. So this award is for a program in public understanding of science technology, which I have the privilege of running. And you could think of us as a nonprofit multimedia company for science. So these different, it's sort of synergistic, multi-platform effort, and it's aimed at commissioning, developing, producing, and disseminating an array of culture-defining products, which books, radio, films, television, theater, and new media, and all aimed at translating science technology for the lay public. It comes out of that seminal C.P. Snow essay that most of you probably know, 1959, The Two Cultures in the Scientific Revolution. And I reread it recently, and although it's somewhat dated, I think its fundamental premise still holds. Snow was worried about the increasing polarization as science was playing an increasing role in our society. I don't explain that to you here, but they say 60 to 80% of our economy is driven by science technology. It's the most powerful force, and yet a lot of the public doesn't understand, doesn't speak the language of science. And on the other hand, the argument was, well, scientists need to know Shakespeare, but then why doesn't the average person need to know about the second law of thermodynamics? So Snow argued for bringing those two cultures together, and all of our efforts are really built around that. Before I go to the film program, I'll just mention a couple of other, like in books, something you will have heard of, and it's important to understand that all these media interconnect and influence each other. So 4 years ago, I received we've done over 100 books have come out of the books program. 4 years ago, I received a proposal by an unknown writer for a book, a story about African-American women who had played a key role in the space program. And once I verified that it was true, we made a grant, and that book is Hidden Figures, and that, of course, was turned into a film. We didn't even have, normally I have to develop these things into films. Hollywood grabbed that right away before Margot was finished with the book. It became, I think, the most successful art house film last year. It's going to be turned into a television series, and it had a huge cultural impact in terms of young women, in terms of role models going in. There are now scholarships, there are courses. I've been working actually with Chris Coons, the same Chris Coons involved with the hearings, on they're now a bipartisan bill to award a Congressional Gold Medal to the women of Hidden Figures. So that's an example of really, and the argument there is how many other stories like that? Most of us I didn't know about that story. How many other hidden figures are there? So that's one way of using media. Another story, again, about a woman scientist that we've championed for many, many years, of Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was known in her day as the most beautiful woman in the world, but in fact, she was a pioneering innovator, and she developed something called frequency hopping with George Antal, which is the basis of cell phones, Wi-Fi, smart bombs, really arguably one of the most important inventions of the 20th century, and the idea was, how do we get that story out? So first we developed it as a play with Ensemble Studio Theater called Frequency Hopping. That was produced, and we worked on a screenplay for several years that had a lot of famous actresses reading the script. We didn't quite get far enough because we had the wrong writers, so then I commissioned a book by Richard Rhodes called Hetty's Folly, which came out about 6 years ago. It was very well received, and the actress Diane Kruger optioned the book. She's now developing a miniseries about Hedy Lamarr. And then about 4 years ago, Susan Sarandon came to us wanting to do a documentary, which we supported. That came out this year. It's called Bombshell, the Hedy Lamarr story. It's been playing in theaters all across the world, and it was broadcast on American Masters. So that's one way in which this program works in all these synergistic ways. In terms of the film program, the argument is, let me just say about Roger. I had the privilege of meeting Roger on the festival circuit, and I love the fact I didn't realize that he gave 4 stars to 2001, because we did an event with the cast about on the 30th anniversary with Tom Hanks, and they were still hurt by the fact that Pauline Kael in The New Yorker panned that film when it came out, by the way. They had not recovered, even though it's become one of the most important, and by the way, it did lousy box office. It got lousy reviews, but someone like Roger Ebert was able to recognize that this was a film for the ages. And I think today, no one would, I say it's known we don't do science fiction, but if someone sends me a script like 2001, we'll make an exception, because there was so much incredible science in it. So our film program, tell me if I'm running out of time. How much do you want me to?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, sure. Okay, I don't prepare, so I could just go on, but I will stop when you want me to. The film program is arranged in stages along a kind of developmental pipeline, or what I call a farm system, with multiple partners. So, and the goal is we want to influence the next generation of filmmakers to think about science technology as raw material for their art. So we support 6 of the leading film schools in the country I'll mention them for those of you who are interested in these things: the American Film Institute, Carnegie Mellon, Columbia, NYU Tisch, USC, and UCLA. And this year we're adding 6 more. And we give them annual awards in screenwriting and film production. And we also give at different schools, we have an animation award at USC. We have at NYU a first feature prize. And we have films, for example, a $20,000 grant that I think I made in 2004 came out 2 years ago called Robot and Frank, was turned into a feature film. There's a film called To Dust, which is going to come out into theaters very soon, about a Hasidic Jew whose wife dies and becomes obsessed with what happens to the body after you die. And so he teams up with a high school biology teacher played by Matthew Broderick, and they go to discover literally, so the closest thing to us is a pig, so they get a pig. They kill the pig, they bury the pig, they want to find out how the body decomposes. It's an example of bringing science and art together in a kind of weird story. So we're very open to, unusual stories as well as traditional great, great figures. We've developed, in addition to those film schools, we then work with Sundance, Tribeca, Film Independent, San Francisco Film Society, and the Blacklist to develop new scripts. We've done films on Alan Turing, The Imitation Game, Experimenter about Stanley Milgram, The Man in New Infinity about Ramanujan. And then in terms of today's theme, the empathy for the universe, I was thinking about the things we've done. Of course, Charles Darwin, who gave us, the origin of species. We were involved with a 30-year project called The Correspondence of Charles Darwin, which is his letters, 15,000 letters annotated. We've done a couple of films about him, Darwin's Darkest Hour. Last year, we did a documentary about Rachel Carson, who, of course, spawned the modern environmental movement. The notion that really behind this, that everything is connected to everything else, which Silent Spring, about 40 years ago, made people aware that synthetic pesticides could have an effect downstream, and that every action we do here is going to have an effect down there. And led to the creation of the EPA. I didn't realize you were a lawyer for the EPA, which of course is now in some danger. Was started with Rachel Carson. We were involved with a film called Oceans by Jacques Perrin, the man who made Winged Migration, which is he developed new cameras, how to follow what lives in the ocean. And the film Particle Fever, which is about the search for the Higgs boson. So many others, but I could go on. Let me just say I'm really thank you so much for this award. On behalf of the foundation, I accept it. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm looking forward to a great day. Thank you.
So I noticed that Doran didn't mention in the grants he's given the University of Illinois' Ebert Center or Ebert Fest, and I'm going to challenge you. I'd like for you to come back to Ebert Fest next year, bring one of those movies that you gave a Sloan Foundation award to, and also consider making a grant to the Ebert Center.